Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for today's webinar. Welcome back to Guest Indonesia Digital Series, which is a series of activities from Guest Indonesia 2020 event. And my name is Farah Karimas, your MC. Present with me today as the speaker, Mr. Raj Thaosen. Mr. Raj Thaosen is currently the program leader and Cambridge International Coordinator at Beacon Academy, Jakarta. He is also accomplished teacher trainer and has practiced as senior consultant and chemical sciences educator for almost 2 decades in various international schools. In addition, his extensive knowledge, experience, perseverance, passion, innovation, and creativity have made learning always fun and full of joy for his students. Today, Mr. Raj Thaosen will be presenting Unleashing Innovations in the Classroom. Innovation in the classroom context means to allow our imagination to blossom and not be afraid to try out new and unique ideas and techniques that can benefit learners in more effective and exciting ways. Educators will need to be flexible and adaptable with their lessons and curriculum plans. There is definite need to get our students to take risks, think deep, ask probing questions, and also find ways to keep them focused and interested. Innovation also means change, so we need to provide them with the tools that will make them productive and efficient as they embark on taking up challenges career for the 21st century. This workshop will endeavor to explore different ways by which educators can step outside of the box, challenge existing methods and strategies, and bring in Eureka moments in the classroom, not only for students, but also for themselves, and thereby promoting an era of innovation and great accomplishment. And now, without further ado, I will turn the time over to Mr. Raj Thaosen.
Thank you very much, Cynthia, for that lovely introduction. And without breaking it further, I would like to go into the topic right away. Good day, everyone. So I'll be talking to you today about unleashing innovation in the classroom. It's a very exciting field that we are going to be looking at today. And I'm very delighted to be presenting this to all of you. Let's first of all begin with the meaning of education. Okay. We are all here in the process of facilitating learning, transferring knowledge, skills, values, beliefs, and habits to others. That is basically our students and learners. And the purpose is basically to prepare our learners, that is our young students, for future success. Okay. And this is something which is so vital in today's society, in which we want our students to be progressing in confidence. Now, if you take a look at the process in which innovation we're talking about, the 90s were so much different as compared to how we are in the 2020. So what it basically means is, when you talk about innovation, it means that we need to do things differently and in a much better way. So it is a different way of doing things that result in better and often different outcomes. Okay? And both the different and the better need to be significant and substantial makes of outcomes that you have. Now, doing things radically different, and also what we mean is we are just wanting to do our innovative work in such a way that becomes easier for teachers and also for the learners to do their task well. Okay. So as educators, we need to think of innovating as those actions that can significantly challenge key assumptions about schools and the way they operate. And therefore, to innovate is to question out of the box. Okay. And we need to use that as often as possible so that we continue to innovate as time goes on. Now, even as I'm talking, okay, things are changing. There are lots of new innovations coming in every day. And what was fairly new yesterday suddenly becomes obsolete today. So it's all a question of the matter of a blink of an eye. And now For example, we are right towards the end of 2020, and we are seeing so many different apps coming in. And with the COVID-19 situation in, we are looking at different ways by which educators are trying to make use of plethora of apps and technology that is available to us at the moment. For example, we have Google Classrooms. We have explained everything as a whiteboard, Kami PDF, Cognity for sciences, and also for business and economics. We have Jamboards. We have Mentai for doing polls. We have FED simulations for trying out science experiments or simulations. We have Padlet, in which we can do graffiti. We can put out ideas. So the range is quite endless. So it's indeed time for innovation, because it's now time for change. We need to make effective sense of unfamiliar situations as well as complex challenges, and we must have a good grasp of the entire situation. And this requires skill beyond everyday analysis, and so innovation is in. Now, when we talk about innovation, we need to think also in terms of the child. Okay, so if a child can't learn the way we teach, maybe we need to change our way of thinking. We should teach in the way that they can learn. So we ought to teach them in a way that they learn, and this requires innovation in learning, and that incorporates the latest 21st century skills and teaching. Now I'm coming across a term called Kaizen. It's a Japanese term, but it is very, very significant and important. Okay. So the only constant that stays in today's era, okay, is to stay competitive, and we want to continue to be changing. Okay. So without change for the better, there'll be no continuous improvement. And that's what Kaizen is. It means continuous improvement all the time. Okay. Now, it's very important for a school to be having a mission statement. And successful schools will have a clear sense of direction through the mission statement. Okay, it shares a kind of visioning process that involves all the members of the school. And once affirmed, it needs to be able to be articulated by all. And when achieved, they can then align their efforts behind the mission, and through self-reference and development of the school will reach. And it can be translated in reality by means of a suitable teaching framework. For example, in our school, in which I'm currently working in Beacon Academy, it provides a learner-centered atmosphere that nurtures a strong sense of belonging and community among our students, while encouraging them to imagine, to create, and most importantly, to innovate in all aspects of their learning. So what I wanted to emphasize here is, if you have the backing of the management and support of the school members, okay, I think it will go a long way in making this happen. So innovation does require a good backing from the board members. So in developing future skills, okay, it is something also very vital, okay, because it will help them not only to thrive at present, but also in the future. So they need to continuously learn and nurture whatever they have learned. One of the ways by which we can enhance innovation is by providing them a very good atmosphere. So mentoring is something which is important. So an innovative practice which can be implemented in schools across zones, across states. Okay. So mentoring consists of experienced teachers who can assist new teachers coming to the field. For example, when a teacher joins Beacon Academy, what we do here is we assign a buddy teacher. So in that way, we always ensure that the teacher who has joined in has somebody whom he or she can look up to. Also, we have student mentors. So mentoring students to mentor other students are also on the rise. Okay. And this is something good, because when new students come in, they can relate easily to the other student who is among their peers. So it very helps to create an atmosphere of warmth, okay? And the new students can adapt quickly, and at the same time, they become more suitable to learning, and that's when they also take part in the learning process, and then innovation can take place by encouraging them also in the same process. So there are many ways by which you can undergo innovative learning. And in my talk today, I'm going to focus more on this project-based learning. Okay. So innovative ways to become engaged in the learning process will help to increase the content knowledge. It occurs in the community and working on projects or to sustain the school itself. So in project-based learning, the projects can show students how diverse disciplines such as even English, science, and mathematics can be interrelated. So they don't look at it like a single subject entity. They can understand how the different subjects are related to one another. For example, as a chemistry teacher, we can demonstrate an electrolysis experiment. For example, how water can be decomposed or dissociated with the help of an electric current. So students can learn all the skills required to perform this project, and they can be completely engaged in this project, and they will also feel a lot of joy in completing the project and will gain a lot in confidence. As a teacher, it's important to check also what kind of atmosphere or the mood of the classroom is in. Okay, so misconceptions need to be removed. Okay, and project-based learning can reveal the profound nature of deep learning experiences, and many different project-based learning strategies has led to success, but in reality can also turn out to be quite depressing, particularly when the students are not able to perform their experiments well. So it requires a good plan by the teacher also. So teachers need to continuously observe and frequently check the mood or tone of the classroom, right? So in this case, particularly during the pandemic, okay, when you're having sessions with the students, it's good to have them in breakout rooms. Okay, so the breakout rooms can be an area where, as a observer, you can observe the students, how they are performing, okay, and how they are going about their discussion. You can also recognize times when the student engagement is lagging. So you should be alert for those signs when the quality of the work produced is not so good or low, or when, for example, the project might have worked out for some of the students but not so well for the others. So you need to be there around as a guide, okay? And rather than seeing them as moments of failures, we can ask the students to reflect upon it, build upon where they have gone wrong, and urge them to do better. And for example, learn from their failures and build up a better success model. Now, despite all the plans that we make, what happens is no lesson is perfect. So it can happen that due to personality, group dynamics, etc., okay, you can have that the lesson not going according to your style. So as teachers, you need to find ways to adapt, okay, read the group dynamics, okay, and you need to modify your lessons accordingly, right? So that amount of flexibility you need to have into your program. You should also be in a position to gauge what the students' moods are in, when what kind of frustration they're going through. And at times you need to step back and ask questions, ask them to reflect, and perhaps maybe even ask them to revamp the entire methodology in which they have gone about doing that project or experiment. Now, in order to facilitate innovative learning, okay, it is important to ask some very pertinent questions. For example, are the learners sharing work in process with the class in order to inspire others and help those who are struggling? Do the learners have access to quality resources that can push their ideas forward? So if we as teachers have got good resources, it's important to share the resources with our students too, so that they can make the best use and make a very good project. Are the learners getting feedback from me and from their peers during the process? So this peer learning process is very important because students very often learn very fast and quickly from one another. Okay. Can the learners' work be shared with a wider audience? For example, once the output has come, we always take a look at it from the point of view whether it can be shared with the community. That is the parent community, the community around the school, how it can benefit them. Do the learners feel that their work is being valued and celebrated and appreciated? So praise is something which is very good, okay, because one praise can lead to several other praises, okay, and that can lead to more and more innovative work coming in. Am I giving learners opportunity to do work that matters or that is relevant? Okay, or rather, if I'm giving work which is not exactly suited to them, then it may cause a lot of dissatisfaction. Do the learners have meaningful choices? Am I providing opportunity for learners to be creative? Right? So creativeness requires time. So never be in a hurry to push your learners. It's good to encourage them, but at the same time, give them enough time to complete their project. Have I provided models for the work and clearly explained my expectations? So at the very outset, it's very important to set the expectations. Otherwise, it may result in students not understanding what are the boundaries that you have set. Have large projects been grouped into smaller chunks? And have learners who missed the checkpoints got the help where they needed? So you as the teacher or the facilitator, you need to work on how you can encourage the students to perform their task bit by bit, so that at every stage you're there as a scaffold and you're enabling them to do their work or to go about doing the project in a very efficient manner. So in a class, for example, one way we can go about doing it is we can brainstorm the activity concerned. There are very good techniques by which you can use to brainstorming sessions. For example, even though it's a pandemic going on, we can use apps like Mentai. Mentai.com can also facilitate good polls being conducted. Okay, and so the students can easily use that. You can use apps like Padlet. So Padlet is also a very good device in which students can brainstorm ideas, and you can have a lot of ideas coming out on the Padlet within a matter of 15 to 20 minutes. Now, when we start going about doing this project-based learning, okay, there could be obstacles, okay, but one thing I'm sure about is I can persevere and work to convey my faith in my students' abilities. So it's important to have faith in your students that they will go about accomplishing their tasks and they will be able to produce high-quality projects. Despite the complexity of project-based learning, okay, the aim is to make it succeed. So learners will be doing work that matters to them, work that deserves to be out in the world. So they will be motivated to share ideas and passions in creative ways, knowing that their voices will be heard. So it's important to praise them, to encourage them, and that's how you can let the sparks of innovation fly. Now, obviously, when students are getting started on, there's going to be a trial phase, okay? And so when you're doing in the trial phase, okay, you have to guide the learners step by steps, okay? So teachers guide the learners to answer specific questions about the assignment and to make sure that the learners are on the task. Otherwise, what can happen? They can deviate, okay, and the project may wander away, and you may find that they do not complete it on time. Now, obviously, when the students are completing the project, okay, you'll find that there'll be certain groups of students who have completed the project extremely well, while there are some others who are feeling a bit disappointed or dejected because they have not been able to complete the project satisfactorily. So they might be feeling a little embarrassed about sharing their ideas with other students, okay? And sometimes, they might not have exactly grasped the full nature of the project. So to avoid all these disappointments, okay, it's very important, number one, to set goals, okay? So it's good to set some SMART goals, that is, be specific. The goal should be measurable, the goal should be achievable, the goal should be realistic, and the goal should be timely, okay? So set clear goals, have differentiated instructions. The reason is, in a class of, let's say, 30 or 40 students that you have, not all might be having the same abilities that the best student may be having. So it's good to have differentiated learning. And in this, what you can do as the observer or the facilitator, you can scaffold the learning in such a way that the students move at their own pace and ask questions without feeling, daunted or without feeling afraid. So they can ask you questions and you can accordingly guide them along. Also, you need to plan in such a way that you go well beyond, because as I said before, we need to think of out of the box at times. So don't just limit the students to certain things. Ask them to read, ask them to do research. So research is something which is currently I feel is very important, because these are young learners and later on they're going to go to universities. So we are building that skill up in which they are going to research and find out more about the project. And so it's good if they go even beyond the scope of the project and they're able to give their recommendations. Also keep track of time, because when you're talking of students doing project-based learning, it also means that the students need to keep track of time. They should not submit the project which is unduly late or delayed. So one way I keep track of is I keep track of the notes that they've been doing on a weekly basis. So it's good to document all that. Some students prefer to write it down, and some students prefer to keep their work digitally. There are apps like Kami, which I find is very useful in this regard. So Kami PDF is very good. I also use apps like Cam Scanner, which can, convert all the photographs into PDF format, and then I can use Kami to annotate the documents or to mark the documents or to even grade the documents. So it's a very useful app. So I recommend Kami to all those who are not familiar with that. It's a very good app to work on PDFs and also for annotating and writing comments, including audio comments. Set concrete deadlines. Okay. So when every step was completed, okay, you need to take note, okay, and you need to guide the students accordingly. And that way, when the students are able to do it step by step, they will also try to go beyond and try to see in what way they can add something which is new or something which is creative, okay, which will enhance the quality of the project. And that is something which we as educators always need to encourage, not just for students to do any mundane kind of a work. So they need to research. So goad them to try out new ideas, encourage them to take risks, and that will help them to make the project better. Also, it's good to share the rubrics, because students, when they know that they have a target in the front, they will go all the way to make sure that they bring out a good quality project. So it's good to share the rubrics in advance so the students know what is it that they should be expecting. Also, it's important for the students to reflect on what they've been doing. So reflection and gathering ideas from peers is a very good way in which they can overcome problems. Also, for teachers also, it's a good idea for them to be reflecting along with their peers. So the peers and fellow teachers can contribute ideas which can contribute a lot to the way of learning and to improve the process. So with that, I would like to come to the end of this presentation. Thank you so much for your patient listening and understanding. Have a good day. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Raj Thaosen. It was a pleasure to have you with us. We hope everyone have learned and enjoyed this amazing presentation. So this concludes the webinar. Thank you for joining us today, and we will see you at the next Guest Indonesia digital series. To get a complete information, please contact us at marketing@tarsus.co.id and follow our conference stream for 2 days, 4 to 5 November 2020. Stay tuned and don't miss it.